Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I welcome you to another fantastic page of the Lime Green Journal. A brief information about this venture. The Lime Green Journal tells stories of creative journeys, cultural and conceptual exchange, and cross fertilization of our genres, where we converse and explore the fascinating minds of creative people. We hope to inspire curiosity, ignite your imagination, and provoke new ways of thinking about the world. For this feature, our guest is Mohammad Zain Arif. Zain graduated in 2011 from Beaconhouse National University, Lahore, Pakistan, majoring in film and TV studies. Since then, he has invested his labor and love in co-founding one of the most notable and popular media and documentation agencies called the Videographers TVG Weddings, and later TVGM, known as the Corporate Media Agency, where he presently serves as an art director. His creative philosophy is largely inspired by abstract art, old school Basquiat, and modern school digital art. He's interested in exploring the realm of AI and related dynamism. Alongside his profession, Zen holds dedication and focus towards marathon running as his wellness regime. Since 2018, he has done 9 marathons, ranging from half to ultra marathons. Anything jazz, art, Zen, and light is synonymous with Zen. Zen, thank you so much for allowing us to know you better.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I
I'm
hope
here.
you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you to you for the invitation, for being the part of this conversation. I'm actually excited about telling my stories about my journey to people who are into art, who are into running, who are into, in every in every aspect of life where they are seeking questions, basically. Very actually getting old, huh? Getting wiser.
I've known Zen
and
since.
sharing knowledge.
Yes. So I just like to add a little information here. I've known Zen since more than a decade. And in my understanding about art and anything creative of any genre, of any background, specifically film and music, this person right here has been the major source of inspiration and knowledge. And for me to understand more what aids our life, how important art is to us. So I thank you. And wherever I am, whatever my creative journeys have been, you have been a very important part of it.
Thank you so much, Nina. Thank you so much. So I'm just saying here, it's it's a process basically. Creativity is a process which you basically acknowledge with time, which you basically adapt with time, or it's I think everything which I have learned staying in Pakistan. That's a very important aspect. Staying in Pakistan, jitna bhi creative aspect मैंने सीखा है, it's all about the environment, my surroundings, starting from Alhambra, starting from going to NCA and just seeing what people are doing. Just people are playing music there on galleries, and was time to basically I'm starting this conversation from the time of 2007. This is basically that era when I start discovering myself कि यार अच्छा there is because Kodak cameras वगैरह तो होते थे but जब Samsung ने they have made their flip phone, so
Yes.
they have a rotating camera there. So I start taking pictures slowly and slowly. The technology is adapting, or in 2007 Sony Ericsson ने अपना cyber shot phone निकाल दिया था. And it's a big thing. You took picture, and when you come home and you see your digital medium पे, पहले तो हमें we have to like जाना पड़ता था दुकान पे, Fuji shop पे, कि you have to develop all the photographs. But again, when you come back and you start enhancing small things and small details and small aspects of life, these are the things basically which basically I'm going to start this conversation throughout that. So let's start with your questions. Whatever you have, I'm going to plan accordingly.
I feel like I have been given this freedom to ask anything I want from you, knowing that you are not a very public person when it comes to your inner process. So I would like to ask you, In this manic world where you're juggling so much professionally and personally, how do you start your day?
Okay, I woke up at sharp 5:30, offer my prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and uske baad I just start my namaz, and after that depending on the air quality of in Lahore, I plan my run. And unfortunately, we're not lucky have good air quality in Lahore,
Mm-hmm.
so I just uh, uh, usually go gym, then maybe 5 kilometer run, do my chest practice, and after that come back to office, schedule my whole day, schedule my tasks, use paper pen still in my hand. So, and that's how I plan everything. Yeah, let's try. This is a deadline. This is to meet up. This is one important factor that I'm going to tell starting my day. As soon as I come back office, the पहली चीज मेरी होती है कि there are two mediums that I always open in front of me whenever I start my day. There is Vimeo and there is Behance. These are the two important platforms for every creative person, for every person who is part of this conversation. I would suggest if you make this routine, these are basically small routines, small tabs जो आपके सामने खुले होते हैं. When you come, just open a thing and just refresh that page, and you see कि if you go on Vimeo and there is a staff picks, and you see कि आज 3 मिनट के अंदर या 2 मिनट के अंदर 30 सेकंड के अंदर किस तरह से the message, the maybe it can be an ad, and maybe and also one important tab is called ad of the words. So these are three tabs:
Mm-hmm.
Behance, Vimeo, and ad of the words.
Mm-hmm.
They are the important part of me for whenever I start my day. Head, whenever I refresh, तो I see कि अच्छा यार कि आज किसने 3 मिनट के अंदर या 20 सेकंड के अंदर या 5 सेकंड के अंदर अपना एक मैसेज दिया और उसके अंदर ही basically told his whole story. So narrative basically और creative aspect इतने ज़्यादा it's so fast now कि everyone is coming up with every day with a new idea, and watching these ideas कि यार Behance पे आज एक नई illustration देखी या एक ऐसा logo देखा या ऐसा typography देखी या ऐसी digital painting देखी. Now what happening, AI jump in and I am seeing कि यार how AI basically helping things out. बीच में थोड़ा सा वो ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स को गुस्सा बढ़ गया था कि यार what's happening कि their jobs are replaced when चीजें चाहिए. But again, that is a question where how still human, still manual painting, still the way we perceive things, how importantly they play in our daily life के अंदर.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back on again, these are the important things that where I basically first adapt, and उस adaptation को basically that creative adaptation I took, and उसको basically I utilize with my team, उसको I utilize with my any person who I met daily ki yaar, have you watched this thing, have you watched that movie, have you watched that season, have you listened that music. And when other person like tell me कि हाँ यार I saw that, अगर नहीं भी देखा तो that's how I'm educating others कि यार that's the way thing. And with that sharing that knowledge, I literally मुझे चार चीजें और सीखने को मिलती. That's a very important thing. When I share my these small details, small things that यार that graphic designer इसने ये करना शुरू कर दिया है, music ये आ गया है, ये चीज designs ये होना शुरू कर, whatever the scenario. And these small details basically help me when I share my knowledge with others. और मुझे कहीं ना कहीं समझ में मिल रहा होता है कि यार अच्छा आज ये है, आज ये है. So that's how basically plan my whole day.
And I think I would like to give the credit to you because you were the major force for me to create my own Behance account. And to me, I've created my website and I had other avenues, but the dearest one and the most sourceful was Behance. And when Aajkal bhi, it's not so popular. People don't really follow Behance or they're not on Behance, but that's the first app on my phone that I open up. So it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing space for visual inspirations. So, like you mentioned, when you open these tabs and when you're in your creative zone, when you are absorbing visual information, which is very important for creative stimulation, and you see there's a lot of information, there's abundance of knowledge. So, and there's constant change every day. You're living in an atmosphere, you're living in a world where everything is changing every second. So how do you
Yeah.
construct your creative environment or your creative atmosphere living in that constant flux? What is your methodology?
रीना, इस पे I'll say कि things are actually changing so fast. एकदम से
Hmm.
ना revolutionized हुआ सब कुछ. और
Hmm.
like I'll say कि during the COVID time, उस time पे maybe एक people get so much time, people get
हाँ.
so much, they research a lot कि everyone is so much well equipped with knowledge कि आपको इतना इतना क्या कहते हैं इतना टाइम नहीं लग रहा उनको समझाने में या उनको उनको साथ अपने साथ लेके चलने में.
Hmm.
So I'll say कि यार I was watching like a lot of like I was listening basically a few podcasts just पे basically I was I'll share the names called Rick Cuban. Rick Cuban is a very famous music producer. Or I was when I was like start listening to his key podcast, so he was actually telling कि यार how everything is a remix. कि हर चीज किस तरह से remix बन गई है. It can be music, it can be art piece, it can be anything.
Hmm.
और वो बेसिकली एडेप्टेशन से मुझे भी आसानी होती है लोगों को आगे आइडिया या कोई भी चीज कन्वे करने में.
एंड फॉर योर सेल्फ, कभी कोई चीज कोई इंफॉर्मेशन हो जहाँ पे तुमने अपना एक आइडिया डेवलप किया है एंड देन यू फील लाइक इट हैज टू चेंज इमीडिएटली बिकॉज द वर्ल्ड इज चेंजिंग, द perception might change as well. So how do you work towards that?
यार मेरे लिए अगेन वही होता है कि मैं I I watch a lot of things. For example, there are some time जहाँ पे whenever I get stuck or ब्रेक लग जाती है क्रिएटिव ब्लॉक लग जाता है कि यार अच्छा I'm stuck ये अगर इमिडिएटली इस चीज पे ओवरकम करना है उस पे करना है.
Hmm.
um, I one practice that I really always do is that there are sometimes I actually make some folders in my computer all the time. There's an image section, there's a ad section, there's a documentary section, there's a movie section. And अक्सर बात ऐसा होता है कि कहीं पे वो चीज आप जिसमें फंस गए हो, you watch that thing or foreign
Hmm.
you get that, oh, I have that reference. Or इस reference से basically you develop another idea.
Hmm.
That's how basically immediately है कि अच्छा यार है. और अच्छी बात ये होती है कि again we the COVID times की बात कि people have watched a lot. पहले
Hmm.
पहले the times पहले if you talk about like before COVID तो चीजें इस तरह की होती है like लोगों के पास इतना ज्यादा knowledge नहीं हो रहा. Like होता था but again people are busy and again job and thing.
Hmm.
People come up, they have watched their shows, they have watched their documentaries. Vox एक चैनल है. People know about Vox. पहले आज से पहले किसी को Vox के बारे में नहीं पता होता था.
Hmm.
So it's very easy now to अगर आप कहीं फंसे हो तो how can you like अपना उस creative block से बाहर निकल के when you tell other person कि यार that's that thing. और अपने लिए भी ये होता है कि यार if you're stuck somewhere तो that's how things gonna work. But majorly I always try to whenever I'm stuck in these sort of things, I use mind mapping. Mind
Hmm.
mapping is one of the important tools that I developed with times. कि किस तरह से I use that idea and उस idea से ये चीज निकल गई उस एक bubble से कि
Hmm.
यार ये हो सकता है, ये हो सकता है, ये हो सकता है. And that's how it's gonna help me when I'm stuck.
So that's a very integral part of your creative process. Another very
Yeah,
important
yeah, mind
thing,
mapping.
mind mapping. So mind mapping could be of different nature. It could be visual, it could
Yeah,
be written, it could be spoken or performed,
yeah.
etc. So when it comes to writing down the ideas, if you've seen something, so you mentioned you take a photograph, you take a snapshot, you quickly store it within your device. But how do
Yeah.
you archive your notes? अगर कोई ख्याल आता है, कोई चीज लिखनी है immediately, are you the kind of person who carries a journal and a pen with him all the time, everywhere? Or do you remember things? What is your mechanism of archiving
So
the
in that
ideas?
scenario, So in that scenario, I basically use two tools. One memorize and one paper and pen वाला thing. Memorize वाला part पे इस तरह से होता है कि यार when I start running, before running, I start walking. There are days I was like कि यार ऐसे एक दिन होता है कि like doing meditation चीजें करें, but there are some days when आप अपने घर से निकल के ऑफिस तक आ, it's like a 13 to 14 किलोमीटर का रास्ता. And in that rasta, when there are some days, I was like, uh, there was in like my college days when I used to go on bus or when I used to go on rickshaws or whatever. So on that route, basically, I learned a lot of things. कि यार how bus के अंदर एक बंदा अगर एक फकीर बेच रहा है, how he's selling that thing. अगर वो बंदा एक newspaper बेच रहा है, whatever they're selling in the bus. So with that, I memorized thing कि अच्छा यार reality basically जिनकी चल रही है. But again, what जब घर से अपना like coming up office side पे like
I'm sorry, I'm going to mute people who are not aware of it. Okay, Harsh, sorry, continue please.
It's okay. So मैं कह रहा था कि यार when I'm walking to तो घर के रास्ते में आते हुए I see billboards, I see के बाहर अगर कोई भी प्रिंटिंग कंपनी है या कोई फोटोकॉपी वाला है या कोई नया पोस्टर लगा है या नई कोई चीज लगी है, तो when I walk towards the office आते आते मुझे अच्छा यार अब डिजाइन ये बना हुआ है, अब लोगों ये चल रहा है, अब बिलबोर्ड्स ऐसे बनना शुरू हो गए हैं, बिलबोर्ड्स के अंदर और प्रोग्रेशन आ गई है, इंटरेक्टिव चीजें होना शुरू हो गई हैं, एलसीडीज लगी हैं, प्रॉपर्टी पे काम इतना चल रहा है, रियल एस्टेट पे चीजें चल रही हैं. तो वो पूरे रास्ते में आते हुए ना आप पूरे पाकिस्तान का ज्योग्राफी तौर पे हर चीज को फौरन हर चीज मेल कर लेते कि अच्छा यार डिजाइन के अंदर ये चेंज आ गया है, वीडियो मीडियम के अंदर ये चेंज आ गया है, कमर्शियल्स के अंदर ये चेंज आ गया, तो आई मेमोराइज एवरीथिंग. अच्छा यार ये चीजें ट्रेंडिंग में बेसिकली ये चीजें चलना लगी हुई हैं. सो व्हेन आई कम बैक और उसको जो रास्ते में सब चीजें मैंने विजुअलाइज किया होता है उसको विजुअलाइज कर जो मैंने देखी अच्छा यार व्हाट्स हैपनिंग नाउ, उसको आई नाउ देन ब्रिंग दैट थिंग पेपर पेन के ऊपर.
ठीक है.
पेपर पेन के ऊपर बेसिकली क्या कि whenever I have to go next pitch या किसी ने अगली जगह पे जाना, I have to take my idea, अपने मैंने आइडिया को आगे ब्रीफ करना, तो I'll tell them कि यार this is the trending, ये taglines हैं, font ये होना चाहिए, design ये होना चाहिए. So that's the whole walk basically helped me a lot to figure out कि यार what's in the trend, or yes फिर paper pen पे आ जाते हैं, paper pen पे आके it helps me to finalize.
And I think your
that's how basically and that's how basically big ideas come up कि यार when you see something अपने अपने उस रूट पे या अपनी जो आपकी रियल लाइफ में वो इंसिडेंट्स हो रहे होते हैं, and there are some days I basically when I was running करके जब मैं आ रहा था तो उस टाइम पे भी there are some time जैसे बाइक गाय काम वो आके रुक जाता, सर आपको लिफ्ट देते हैं, एंड like इस तरह की चीजें भी होती, तो यू अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा यार अच्छे लोग भी हैं, और that's whole thing about run walk and how you figure out things in your surroundings so much help you.
So one thing that I realized when you were talking about observing while traveling from point A to point B, कुछ भी जो नजर आता है, कुछ भी visual देखते हो, you start understanding what the world is watching. You start understanding what the world wants to see and what are the things that they are more interested in. And ये सारा जो process है observe करने का, I think it has mostly been solitary. तुम अकेले चल के जाते हो, जब तुम अकेले होते हो, when you don't have any company, where you don't have to entertain anyone else, you don't have to host a group or something. So that sort of defines the way of absorbing the knowledge around you. So तुम्हारे creative process में, when you are alone in your studio or in your office or in your room, wherever your process is being activated, is it solitary or is it collaborative? Is it something where you encourage having other people's energies, or do you focus on your energies first and then move ahead to another individual? What is it like?
Okay, so इसमें ये होता है कि यार first whatever the plan, the pitch, the idea, anything, कुछ भी हो, I make sure कि उस चीज की क्लैरिटी मुझे पता हो, उसके प्रोज क्या है, उसके कॉन्स क्या है, उसका एंड रिजल्ट क्या है, how maybe it can be a wedding, it can be an ad, it can be a design, it can be a logo, it can be anything. वो कुछ भी हो, उसमें मेरा होता है कि first I have to be clarified कि यार what will be the end result, कि मेरा जो भी viewer है जब वो देखेगा इसको, how he gonna react on that. So उसके उसके answers और उसके questions I ask myself to develop that clarity कि यार ये चीज हो सकती है नहीं हो. And then after that, I work with my team throughout. Okay, I have that idea, or even if you have that idea, or even our client said this thing कि यार हमारे पास ये idea है, or make whatever thing that we made, and then उस पे I utilize my own thoughts, और उसके बाद I work with team के, and then we talk about the references कि यार ये reference इसके साथ है. So I guess it's whenever into like कोई भी creative aspect can कोई भी who's going through that process, so solidity is very important aspect. You have to go into that zone, you have to dive into that zone, and उस zone में जाके when you see आंखें बंद करके यार, and you like breathe in, it's like अच्छा यार, that's it. That's basically where I found my answers, or where I found कि यार this gonna work, this gonna have that access के that basically unlock my other side of creativity, my other side of visualization. और उसके बाद जाके I mainly work with the team, then we all collaborate on that idea, and that's how we basically execute the whole thing.
So इस सारे process में the teamwork is also very relevant and it's very important, right?
Yeah.
So collectively, when you're working on something, if there's an idea, how do you decide that the idea is good enough to be translated into a visual form? Or do you wait for the idea? Do you wait for the process to tell you itself? Or is there a moment, is there a defining moment where you collectively just say, okay, now let's just dive into it, let's just launch it?
So basically, I'll say कि यार whatever the thing is कि मेरा हमेशा चीज approach होती है. I am a person who visualize things. Basically, if you said कि यार have you heard that music, have you watched that film, have you watched a documentary, अब उस चीज के अंदर भी basically होता है कि यार again I listen very deeply कि यार अच्छा if that director make that film, I go into उसकी details में चला जाऊंगा कि यार अच्छा उसने ये भी बनाया है और ये भी किया और ये भी किया है, और उसकी 6 चीजें पकड़ के यार then I sit with my team कि यार have you watched that thing, have you watched this thing, और उन सब चीजों को आपस में मिला के that's how basically we launch whatever जो भी whatever the whole scenario of the काम की जो भी नोयत होती है. I'll start. I have to like थोड़ा सा पीछे लेके चलना चाहता हूँ मैं when I talk about the sonar Dixon वाला time thing कि जो creative basically aspect है, it's a time consuming thing, और ये एकदम से आपको नहीं मिल जाता. Plan is basically the stages, or it's everything have a very small like roles, और उन सब चीजों के साथ में मिला के then I come up with think अच्छा I have that perception, इसको इस तरह से बनाया है. So when Cybershot came in 2009, or I was taking pictures on that time, so I made my whole portfolio उसके ऊपर through my phone, and उन days पे Nadeesh Azad was our dean, and I went there, I show him my whole portfolio उसके ऊपर, and I got lucky and got scholarship, and that's how it started. And Then after that graduation, and me Kabir, and so like started the company, and uski andar jo hurdles be in that way कि it's the struggle basically that we all have. That plays a very vital role in my grooming, in my creative grooming, and that was a time basically when I understand कि अच्छा यार how much uh, how much things are changing with time, how much uh, और उसके साथ साथ you have to adapt basically. You have to be so well equipped with knowledge. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि यार this is happening, this is ये है, ये इतना से है. So these are odd. And with that, when I start my marathons, and I learned few other things कि यार it's there are so many things when you go on the trails से जब जाते हो, when you come up on the hike and you see things, it's all about perception कि आपकी जो नीचे आपकी जिंदगी चल रही है उसकी perception क्या है. And when you go on hike, when you see things, and when you understand कि अच्छा यार that's how it's, or you know how you're gonna perceive thing, or आगे how you gonna help with your creativity इसके अंदर. तो yeah, that's few small things.
So how do you describe the core concern of your creative work? वो creative काम तुम्हारे videographers के लिए हो, ad company के लिए हो, or with the team or without the team, but what exactly is the core concern? What is it that has remained constant in your creative work throughout?
I make sure that I practice, or I whatever, अगर नया कैमरा आ रहा है या अगर नई कोई भी चीज़ आ रही है, तो I make sure कि यार I have the knowledge about that thing too. और उस knowledge के साथ basically होता है कि और it's just not like equipment भी, it's like कि even it's a Photoshop, ठीक है, अगर कोई tool है, कोई logo है, I make sure कि यार the way I design that thing, the way I plan that thing, it's उसका जो basically core मेरे end पे हमेशा हमेशा ये होता कि यार जो end output उसकी basically हो, everyone should relate to that end output. The basically core उसका ये होता कि यार
Relatability.
exactly, basically ये होता कि let's talk about a wedding video, ठीक है, a wedding video edit अगर आप करने लगे हो, so basically the core about the thing कि यार how the story basically जो आपने सारी की सारी उस timeline पे डाली है, how if I get emotional watching कि यार अच्छा मैंने testimonials यहाँ पे रखे हैं, या मैंने कोई और shot यहाँ पे लगाया, अगर मैंने कुछ भी यहाँ पे लगाया, तो वो सारी की सारी story he basically made I know कि यार that music gonna change the whole thing. That transition towards another cut gonna change the whole thing. So these are basically whole thing मैं अपनी कोशिश करता हूँ कि यार I practice that thing every time, and it's always very helpful to keeping myself updated कि यार अच्छा यार आज ये गाना चल रहा है, आज ये ट्रैक है, या एडिटिंग स्टाइल ये है, विजुअलाइज किस तरह से करना. That's how it is.
And it's a never ending process. It's like when you learn something, you immediately are connected to something else that you're not aware of, and you have that urge to learn that as well. So I think it's a constant hunger or need to understand and learn more and more. And being humans, we are directed by human emotions, what we feel inside, the internal and external emotions and responses that we get. So tell me, what are those feelings that guide your process largely or throughout?
feelings is like sometimes to it's like you
Because
have to know like something have to
mm,
meditate. अक्सर का तो इस तरह का content भी आता है. I we got a project last year,
mhm,
and it was such a heavy thing for me to did that. So there's a guy, Khwaja Ali and Ali Fateh, and that guy उसकी ख्वाहिश थी, he got died and उसकी हो गई थी like 2 years back ago died. उसकी जो थी ना will videographer से cover करूँगा, and unfortunately he passed away. तो उसकी बहन भाइयों ने they contacted us, and we went through और जाके we shoot the whole family, सब कुछ हमने cover वगैरह किया. उसका room, उसकी he is very well knowledge, very well knowledge का है. उसकी काफी अच्छी उसकी history, उसकी books, उसकी सब चीजों को. And that was first time I made a death monologue of someone I have made. And it was actually really heavy. Or when I did that thing, or when we present that thing, we just made it and everybody's crying. So sometimes like really heavy, and sometimes like really fun. So it's a mix of things, but again, it's like a yin yang, but you have to balance your emotion first. So you have to be content, specifically creative aspects जितने भी होते हैं, very sensitive aspects होते हैं.
yes.
जब उसका हिस्सा बनते हो, और you have to be you should know कि यार again how other people are going to react on that thing. So there are times when we used to let wedding highlight those kind of testimonials, this type of चीजें हो रही थी, तो we plan that thing कि अच्छा यार ये गाना ये चीज funny बात है, ये इस तरह की चीज है. तो so it's like it's like again yin yang for me to to balance my emotions on my creative aspects.
So how do you describe your transformation as a creative person when you started off and to where you are right now? Because obviously the way you deal with heavy emotions back then would be completely different than now. तो अपनी इस transformation को, अपनी इस evolution को, your journey as a creative person, like you mentioned, you meditate now, but do you remember meditating before? And this question is eventually going to take us to your wellness regime, that is about running marathons and using that as
Yeah.
a creative outlet for yourself, right? So can you please tell me or describe your transformation as a person in a professional, personal, and creative realms? You can please talk about that.
I got really lucky. I met a lady called Shehnaz Munilla, and बस वो इस तरह से हुआ था कि my partners who introduced me कि यार there is a thing called art of living, और बस उसमें चले गए. शुरू में तो वहां पे जब गए तो मैंने कहा यार ये क्या है, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, वेजिटेरियन होना पड़ेगा और ये चीजें करना पड़ेंगी. तो my first teacher was Tahira, and उस टाइम पे I was like यार ये कुछ गड़बड़ है, ऐसा कल्ट that sort of thing, वो चीज चलने गई. बट फिर पहली दफा मुझे समझ नहीं, बट उससे एक चीज हुई थी, आई बिकम वेजिटेरियन, ये चीज हो गई थी. बट अगली दफा जब मैंने डन थिंग, आई वाज लाइक अच्छा कोशिश करता हूँ. दैट वाज द टाइम व्हेन शहनाज डन दैट कोर्स, और उस कोर्स पे आई लाइक स्टार्ट मेडिटेटिंग. और उस वक्त भी आई वाज लाइक आई कम ऑन दैट लेवल जहां मुझे लगा था कि अच्छा यार मुझे चीजें थोड़ी समझ आना शुरू हो गई. अच्छा यार दैट्स हाउ क्रिएटिविटी इस तरह से है, प्रैक्टिकल ऐसे है, जिंदगी ये है, लाइफ बैलेंस एंड एवरीथिंग, सब चीजें में लगी हुई थी. But Shahnaz taught me like very important things about briefing or meditation, how these things gonna help me throughout, or just basic things. Okay, how a simple breathing technique helps you to start your day, to start your open so many horizons आपके लिए कि अच्छा यार ये भी हो सकता है और ये भी हो सकता है. And when you again uh, when you enter into that process, when you just close your eyes, when you lay down on the floor, when you surrender yourself basically, and that was basically time when you like rise again, when you come up like a chop, boom, I have this idea, I have that idea.
When we talk about wellness, when we talk about understanding yourself more, because I think that's really, really important in growing your artwork, growing your creative process or art of any background, any genre, your creative process. Tell me, how important was it for you to understand yourself? How did you feel like you were lost? Did you feel like you were disconnected? Or did you feel like you had lost purpose or there was no meaning in life? What was it that motivated you towards this form of wellness? Because it's not something that comes overnight. It's not something that just
Yeah,
pushes you right within a second, and you cannot just dive into a new routine. It is a very strenuous, hard work and very testing time and practice. So, can you please talk about what motivated you and what was that situation that made you accept this new life or new routine or the new you? And
yeah.
because if you're talking
So
about, sorry, and if you're talking about, we're talking about wellness, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about physical health, all of these ultimately aid you in your creative process. So whatever you talk about is reflecting on your creative side and who you are. So please proceed with the answer.
okay,
Hmm.
so यार काफी ऐसी चीजें थी जो कि when you were part of that process आपको जिनको आपको नहीं पता था कि उनके आंसर्स बेसिकली क्या हैं और
Hmm.
अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे जो schools हैं यहाँ पे I wish there is in every school there should be a class about like mental health और इस तरह की चीजों के it's unfortunately a taboo है यहाँ पे बात करना भी ना एक होता है कि mental health के बाद wellness के बारे में बात कर रहे हो or especially when
Hmm.
you connect with the creative aspect it's very difficult because these are very sensitive areas of emotions जहाँ पे basically लोगों को समझाना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है या उन्हें बताना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है कि यार that's how in my journey I throughout I feel very I'm the more I feel really lucky कि अगर मैं उन चीज़ों का हिस्सा ना होता तो I might like I might doing things लेकिन मुझे I can't मैं चीज़ों को इतना अच्छा विजुलाइज ना कर पाता इन छोटी
Hmm.
प्रैक्टिस की वजह से तो आई वाज टेलिंग यू गाइस कि यार मैं आई स्टार्टेड द आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग वाला थिंग उसके कुछ चीजें होती हैं कि यार यू हैव टू बिकम वेजिटेरियन यू हैव टू डू मेडिटेशन स्पेसिफिक मेडिटेशन टेक्निक्स दैट विल हेल्प यू कैर अच्छा when you relax yourself and you lay down when you know surrender yourself basically to you who you are basically सबसे मुश्किल काम तो ये होता है कि यार एक तो you have to like we have that thing कि नहीं जी हमने तो नहीं काबू आना किसी के but when you get the यार अच्छा बस यही था that's it or when that's how basically the beginning of everything when you like yeah you know up no that's the whole journey basically begin from here when you start surrender yourself
Hmm.
तो उसके अंदर लाइक मेडिटेशन के साथ साथ देन आई वाज लाइक यार अगेन वॉकिंग रनिंग ये सब चीजें ये सब तो थी बट वो वेलनेस एस्पेक्ट क्रिएटिविटी के साथ कनेक्ट इस तरह मेरे लिए है कि आई मेट अमेजिंग पीपल और खास तौर पे there are so many clients when we go into their houses when we meet them
Hmm.
तो आपको आपको ऐसा सा नॉलेज मिलता है आप कहते हो कि यार वाओ लाइक ये लाइक यू मेट सो मेनी फैमिलीज बिकॉज my job is like I'm just not stuck in a box like I have to take my camera that's the main basically tool that I have ठीक है और अगर कैमरा नहीं भी I have my phone with me और अगर फोन नहीं भी है तो I just have a general discussion with them तो छोटी छोटी जो चीजें हैं that's basically helped me a lot through that thing so when you go to their houses, when you talk to them, and when you saw उनके घर पे, when you go into the study, when you saw the सात cans देखते हो उनके घर पे, when you saw this is like wow, like so much hidden things located in Pakistan or ऐसा भी होता है, and not only in Pakistan, we go for destination weddings, तो हर चीज ही आप there are so many weddings जिन पे traditions change होते हैं, और I was like यार अच्छा वाला, तो उन सब चीजों को when you thought about, when you put in your mind and when you like lay down in the end, when you breathe like, because कभी कभी तो ये भी होता है कि आप शूट कर लेते हो, आप सब चीजें कर लेते हो, दैट्स बेसिकली मेन थिंग, ठीक है, आपका चलने लगा हुआ है, बट एक और एस्पेक्ट भी है दैट दैट बेसिकली हेल्प्स मी, मेरे लिए इसलिए हेल्पफुल होता है कि माई लॉन्ग वॉक्स, वो मेरी लॉन्ग वॉक्स के अंदर आई आई डेवलप द क्लैरिटी कि अच्छा यार थ्रू आउट वो जितने भी माइल्स हैं उसके अंदर आई बिन दैट क्लैरिटी कि यार अच्छा हेडफोन्स लगाए समटाइम, अक्सर का तो ऐसा होता है कि देर आर सो मेनी सॉन्ग्स जो आपके हु बेसिकली हेल्प यू थ्रू योर मेडिटेशन, आप वो अपने हेडफोन अपने कानों में लगाए जस्ट वॉकिंग, बस अक्सर का उस प्ले स्पॉटिफाई पे जाके वो रैंडम एक गाना लग जाता है, लाइक व्हाट, यही तो वो ट्रैक था जो मैं ढूंढने लगा था 3 देर से, एंड यू गो हियर यू गो, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू, दैट्स हाउ थिंग्स हेल्प्स यू कनेक्ट करते करते, फिर अगर रनिंग भी आ जाती है तो या मैं या whatever this है, तो उसमें फॉर मी ये होता है कि whenever I'm into that you have to, so basically Alina, the thing is कि in everyone there's a thing, you have to find that zone.
Yes.
आपको वो जोन मेडिटेशन में मिल सकता है, आपको वो जोन वो रनिंग में मिल सकता है, आपको वो जोन you just have to first connect with yourself. बेशक वो कोई भी एस्पेक्ट हो, फॉर मी इज रनिंग और मेडिटेशन और वॉकिंग, या समटाइम्स व्हेन आई स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन पेपर पेन, तो और विद माइंड मैपिंग, तो मुझे चीज़ों को समझना चाहिए, दिस 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 एंड दैट्स हाउ आई विजुअलाइज थिंग, वो आंखें बंद करके यू हैव दैट मूड बोर्ड इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, whatever the idea is gonna come up, whatever the edits you're gonna come up, whatever the documentary you're gonna make, whatever the narrative you're gonna make, so Sara ka Sara, that's basically helping out in that thing. These are again small things. हम लोग अपनी जिंदगी में उनको इतना टाइम नहीं मिलता या इतना सीरियस नहीं ले रहे होते, बट एकदम से बूम when we dive into that thing तो हमें पता होता है अच्छा यार ये है।
And we also need to believe that these are the small and ordinary things and changes that bring a larger change in life. So your life, it has, if I can just say it, it is divided into two realms. एक वो जिंदगी है जहाँ पे everything has to be immediate. There's urgency of delivering, of documenting, of team leading, of doing managerial things, of organizing something, being on your toes all the time, to the point where you lose the sense of time, you lose the sense of the day, right? फिर उसके साथ आप on the contrary you have this world where you have to be very mindful, you have to be still, you have to be attuned to yourself. How do you balance these two areas in life, and how do you connect? We know that you connect them, but what is that point that where you feel like you are mentally stable, you're mentally aware, and you're sane enough to juggle both the worlds, both the lives? How do you maintain that balance? Because oftentimes people, for instance, if you wish to run, if there's a moment where you really want to go out for a walk, but then you have a deadline, you have to achieve that, you have to give it. How do you program yourself? How do you tell yourself to calm yourself down at that moment? How do you create that balance for yourself?
अब जाके जो ये बेसिकली सवाल है ना, वो थोड़ा सा मेरे लिए ईज फॉर्म में बेसिकली कहा गया हुआ है। सो जो स्ट्रगल पीरियड था, we invest a lot of good time in finding such amazing people जो कि बेसिकली who help me out कि यार उस वाले टाइम पे आने से इसका जवाब बेसिकली I'll sum up with one learning that I've learned कि यार टूल तो मुझे आ गया करना, जिस तरह तो यू टेलिंग मी कि यार एक तो डेडलाइंस है करना है, लेकिन उसको जल्द कैसे करना है, दैट्स बेसिकली माय वर्क. So abhi whenever I talk to my juniors or my people who are recently joining us or becoming a part of us, मेरी कोशिश ये होती है कि मैं कोई एक अप्रोच सिखाता हूँ. ये होता है कि यार there are two ways of doing work. There is one work जो आप करते हो hard work. ठीक है, and there is one work, there is smart work. ठीक है, आपकी deadline आपके पास है, but how smartly you gonna utilize that task? So organize yourself, ठीक है, organize your plan, organize your vision, organize whatever the area you're jumping in, and with the help of few smart people, and with the help of few people who you know के यार they have in the whole पूरा का पूरा ना जो हमारा टाइम पीरियड ऑफ वीडियोग्राफर्स की जर्नी है, देयर आर लॉट पीपल केम, काफी लोग आए हैं, काफी लोग गए भी, एंड कुछ मैंने सीखा, कुछ सिखाया, और हर उस दिन के अंदर लेकिन जो एक चीज विच प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल कि यार इन्वेस्टिंग इन पीपल हु कैन सेव योर टाइम, इन्वेस्टिंग इन पीपल हु कैन हेल्प यू लॉट आगे जाके आपको इस तरह की चीज निकालने में। आई नो यू आस्किंग अबाउट माई सेल्फ कि स्पेसिफिकली मेरा क्या है, बट अगेन मेरे लिए भी और सबके लिए भी आई गेस कि whoever is a part of that industry, वो यही है कि यार आपको आपको काम आप इट्स नॉट दैट टाइम कि यार अब आप ही वो हार्ड वर्क आप उसके अंदर फंसते हैं, यू नेवर रीच योर डेडलाइन, आप फंसे रहोगे इस चीज के अंदर। फॉर मी इससे होता है कि यार यू हैव टू प्लान इट सो वेल कि यार अब आपके पास फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई गिव वेरी शॉर्ट एग्जाम्पल इसके ऊपर के देर आर फ्यू टास्क जहाँ पे मुझे आई हैव इशू, कोई भी पोस्ट करना है या कुछ करना है या कुछ लेटर लिखना है, कुछ चीज नहीं है, तो मैं सारी डिफिकल्ट मुझे आई आस्क एनीबॉडी कि अच्छा यार ये अंग्रेजी का वर्ड ठीक है या ये चीज इस तरह की है, ये सेंटेंस ठीक है। Now it's chat GPT here, yeah. Like chat GPT, go on chat GPT, just go there and just write that prompt. Okay, I have that issue, okay, I have that thing, or this is the thing, how are you gonna help me that? And boom, there's an answer there. नॉट एवरी टाइम, ठीक है, नॉट एवरी टाइम, अगेन वही होता है ना कि नकल के लिए भी आपको अकल की जरूरत होती है, तो ठीक है, जस्ट कॉपी फ्यू थिंग्स एंड उसको जाके आप अपने तरीके से
With
इम्प्रोवाइज
them.
बेसिकली कर लें, इम्प्रोवाइज कर लें उसके अंदर। सो अगेन द प्रीवियस कन्वर्सेशन ये मेरे लिए था कि यार हाउ वी रीमिक्स थिंग्स, एंड रीमिक्स करने के बाद हाउ वी put our hard work उसके अंदर, और hard work के अंदर when we stuck, then we go to the Mr. Smart Work, and how Mr. Smart Work help us get this thing. That's how a good people, a good investment, good people, or decide basically the whole uh, prana basically जो बना हुआ है, that's how basically aspect of life होता है, it helps us in that.
What I really admire about your process and your transformation or your learning process has been that whatever new trends have been introduced, you immediately wanted to understand them and you did progress according to those trends or according to the new technology or advancements in the field. That's amazing. But for every creative person, there's always this culture or this mood or this era that they feel the most connected and associated with. For instance, I really enjoy the color palette of 70s and 80s. I really enjoy the photography of that time. And sometimes, when we talk about Lahore, we talk about the Mall Road back then in 60s, 70s, pre-partition time. I start visualizing myself on the roads in Lahore, in the historic areas. What would life be like? And every time I visit that city, I feel like, wow, I have that sense of belonging. I have that sense of connectivity. So for you,
Nostalgic effect,
that
yeah.
nostalgic effect, and feel like, oh wow, has my soul transported back into that time and then came back to 2023, and it's a whole shift of the world, the dynamic of the world. So for you, my question is, what is that time, that era, or that the mood of the culture that you associate the most with, and you, if you could jump back into that time, what is it?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I know 70s are very funky, or it's like really awesome, but somehow I'll start with the music. Okay, era-wise music, how I'm gonna help you. 80s are for me 80s. अब तो जाके things are so much revolutionized कि people are adapting that 80s वाला 70s चला था थोड़ी देर पे, बाल बॉटम से चीजें आना शुरू हुई फैशन में, but again 80s पे everybody slowly coming on that sort of thing. I'll start again with the music वाला thing. इस तरह से कि going to school और जाने से पहले there is like synth sort of a bass and guitars which is like vital signs का दिल दिल पाकिस्तान national anthem और अदनान समी का ए खुदा खुदा है ना like और उसके बाद Felix Cat cartoons so you know like उस सारा का सारा like early 90s नहीं mid 90s और early 80s में these small things basically help a lot in me my growing कि यार 80s वाला टाइम के अंदर ये था कि the color, the fashion aesthetic, or things are basically revolutionizing it so much fast here. Cars or interiors or architects or again so many artists in jinka kaam I was watching through documentaries like Basquiat and Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol is one of the really good example for describing 80s basically. Because when 70s complete ho gaya, then how he jumped into 80s or how pop art basically. Yes. So how basically pop art or graphics the 80s में jump basically मारी थी. So that's for me कि यार अच्छा है कि computers आना शुरू हो गए थे और Tetris game आना शुरू हो गई थी और even everybody's watching the Stranger Things, so it have that 80s wala touch or how things are changing. For me, 80s play a very good role because it have the sense of connection for me because उस time पे my father, I remember he came back from Saudi Arabia, so he used to have a tape player और cassets उसमें cassets वाला basically time था तो I love that cassette वाला thing. CDs इतना नहीं रहा मेरे लिए. CDs तो I had done that CDs वाला भी कि अपने track रखने होते थे, अपनी चीजें सारी करनी होती थी. But tape वाला for me is like it's like really nice for me कि यार that cassette to pencil के साथ you have to do that thing और आप अपना उसको डालते थे and you have to go to specific stereo shops उस पे जाके आप अपना ले रहे होते थे. So or head coming back to that 80s अब्बा का जो था that connection वो ये होता था कि he have cases of ABBA.
Sorry? ABBA.
Pop गाने होते और ABBA is a band.
I know. Okay. I'm sorry, your voice was breaking, so I missed that.
एनरिके ग्लासेस का जो भाव था that was Julio Iglesias. So अब मुझे कख नहीं पता था कि वो अंग्रेजी में क्या बात कह रहा है क्या कहने का but I was like man it's a good song one ताना मेरा तो like it's a good song और अच्छी feeling है and there's a singer आलमगीर उससे कुछ गाने वाइटल साइंस से कुछ गाने and अली अजमत जुनून and so I guess the sound and music wala part play a very important role for me with my 80s बड़ी journey के अंदर जो अभी भी I still connect अभी भी I try कि there are a lot of basically अभी तो if you saw कि यार लोग there's so many shows on Netflix उनका if you see their design or their logo they have that 80s thing going on कि उसके specific colors like no rules basically ना cyberpunk चलने लगा हुआ है there's no rule space or इस तरह की चीजें चलने लगी so I love that part. Yeah,
I think audio and music as you mentioned they have a very transportative element in it,
audio
right?
music and also games too. Remember that we have like Sega and we have a gun and we have like a joysticks or that और इतना उसमें अजाब होता था that you have to go on shop or shops जाके you have to buy that cassette और cassette पे graphic work Mario या Contra कुछ होता था and you put it inside और मनूस गर्म हो जाती थी and you like again cassette सारी जाया and just struggle the loading वाला part. So and again mid early 90s भी इस तरह से कि the internet jump in or you have to scratch that card. So every aspect where was the struggle वाला thing. अब तो things I was always thought about कि अब जो आगे वाले आने वाले बच्चे हैं उन्होंने कितना यह नचाना है
बिल्कुल.
They have access of everything.
Yes.
We don't have that access of everything, but I still enjoy that thing. यार, I was lucky to do that thing. I was
True.
make my own CDs, make my own game collection, so it's all about making your own, bespoking your art, bespoking your music, bespoking your games. So yeah, that's the beauty about end of mid 90s. Yeah, that's very, very close to my heart.
Wonderful. So they say artists, authors, creatives of any background, they often become embodiments of the cities that they live in or intimately associate with a particular space that really shape the
Yeah,
personality, that really shape who they are. Where do you feel like you belonged the most? Where you felt like it has a very significant influence on you as a person?
eyes closed, the answer is Lahore.
Lahore.
Lahore is one of Lahore के साथ ना वो वाली feeling. It's like love hate relationship, लेकिन mostly love ही है.
Hmm.
Smoke अगर चली जाए तो फिर दोबारा love वापस आ जाएगा. So Lahore के साथ I started my journey from I'm from Wall City, और उसमें रहते हुए there are so many things असल में throughout, like going to school or going to college or going to university.
Mm-hmm.
The connection of basically Lahore is the connection of basically that I developed with Mall Road के साथ.
Hmm.
When you have to come up, वो again, it's an insanity, connection with Lahore. You
Hmm.
start from your home, and जब आप उधर आते थे towards यूनिवर्सिटी आते तो एक डायनामिक चेंज आता था, हैवी किस्म का डायनामिक चेंज आता था. शुरू होते थे आप जनाब, ठीक है, अनारकली से चल रहे हो या उर्दू बाजार से चल रहे हो, उर्दू बाजार से अनारकली आते हो, अनारकली से आप फिर माल रोड पे आते हो.
हाँ.
सो जब आप माल रोड पे आ जाते हो, ठीक है, माल रोड पे आने के बाद ना देयर इज shift happening throughout towards Gaddafi Stadium, or sorry, towards that Fortress Stadium.
Fortress.
वो the whole single road basically. अब वो single road पे अब आते आते हैं, like ना, the connection that you develop, आपको आपकी दिन की political खबर भी मिल जाएगी, आपको आपके मुल्क के हालात भी मिल जाएंगे, आपको नाते भी मिलेंगे,
आपको दिल फेंक जवान भी मिलेंगे वहां पे.
मौलवी भी मौलवी भी मौलवी भी नजर आएंगे आपको, चमन आइसक्रीम में मिलेगी. सो द कनेक्शन कहीं पे भी, लाइक कराची से वापस आ रहा हूँ या इस्लामाबाद से वापस आ रहा हूँ या कहीं पे शूट करने गए हैं तो लाइक आउट ऑफ लाइक कंट्री कुछ अभी, तो व्हेन यू कमिंग बैक, जब आप जहाज लैंड हो रहा था ना, लाइक अंदर आते जब आपको नजर आ रहा था कि यार हाँ, इसका स्मोक की लेयर नजर आ रही है, बादल इसमें जब आ रहे हो, आते थे आप कहते ठीक है यार. और जब आते हो तो आपको ना, आपको एयरपोर्ट पे फूलों की चीजें और सब सारा हाजी साजी सब नजर आ रहे होते हैं, तो आप कहते ठीक है, जैसा भी है ना, सही है, कोई कनेक्शन है. So it's I guess it's the city of gardens,
City of Gardens. Now let's
which
move on to
turns
an
into
awesome. Let's move on to another aspect of your interests, which is AI, and you really want to explore that domain. You really want to explore that advancement. And they say artificial intelligence is all over the news these days. Its impact on creativity and productivity is a controversial topic in the contemporary world of design, of basically the creative world. So,
yeah.
what are your views about it? And have you experimented with AI art? And how do you see artificial intelligence impacting the life of artists and the creative process? And let's just talk about yourself personally. Do you feel like it is going to be something which would take your work forward, or is it something that's going to paralyze your thinking process or the abilities that you've developed
That's
so far?
that's That's what I'm telling everybody कि यार आजकल जब भी एआई के बारे में बात होती है तो अगेन मैं हर कोई ये कहता हूँ कि यार ठीक है, आपने हार्ड वर्क कर लिया है, आपकी जर्नी तो होगी, अब स्मार्ट वर्क वाला टाइम आ गया, यू हैव टू डू द स्मार्ट वर्क थिंग. एआई के ऊपर मेरा इस पे एस्पेक्ट ये है कि यार थोड़ा सा ना ये है कि यार हाउ वी अस ह्यूमन, हाउ वी परसीव थिंग्स. अब आप चीज को अच्छी तरह भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो और चीज को नेगेटिविटी में भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो. but mostly जब Facebook आया था, let's talk about Facebook. उस पर then talk about AI के बारे में.
Why not
Facebook
Orchid?
ऑर्किड बेचारे की जिंदगी थोड़ी सी थी, उसमें सिर्फ टेस्टिमोनियल्स ही रहते थे और उसके बाद बेचारा खुश हो गया था.
There was another very notorious app, MSN.
Yeah, that's also uh, so Facebook वाला जब टाइम आया तो everybody like jump in Facebook और करते 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 चीजें होना शुरू हो गई. बट अब देखा जाए तो आई सी के जो एडवांसमेंट्स जितनी भी वहां पे हुई हैं, coming on the conclusions, I see more hate when I go on social media. I see more
resentment,
negative. Yeah, I see more negative aspect of things. For example, कैपिटल राइट के बारे में क्या लगा तुम जो हुआ, अगर इसकी डिटेल में जाते हो तो यू गेट अंडरस्टैंड अच्छा है, लाइक ऐसा भी हुआ था. When you go on US elections के बारे में बात करते हो कि how Facebook play on what role Trump वाले टाइम के अंदर how they change things, how things happen basically. अभी भी people are move towards more Instagram और TikTok के ऊपर, लेकिन again perspective ये है कि यार चीजों को अगर इस्तेमाल ठीक तरह से किया जाए तो ठीक है, but mostly they go on destruction. Yes. What I see so far कि it humans doesn't know कि यार how to use that tool सही तरह से, because sometimes circumstances तरह के बन जाते कि that person who is saying कि यार that's not a ठीक है, उसको भी यूज करना ही पड़ जाता है वो, उसको भी वो यूजर बेसिकली बन जाता है वो. I was listening again podcast ritual की and surprisingly वो भी यही बेसिकली बात करने लगे थे कि how जितने भी algorithms हैं YouTube के, it was so it have so much negative aspects. Even if you watch again I follow a podcast, he's an ultra athlete called Rich Roll. उसकी podcast पे when I like hear about AI और इस तरह की चीजों पे तो
can you say that again? What's the name of the podcast?
Rich Roll, R-I-C-H-R-O-W-L. Yeah. So जब भी आप उसके conclusion पे basically आ रहे हो तो you get amazed कि यार you get amazed and surprised in that aspect कि यार हमेशा जब भी बात के अंदर वो destruction और it doesn't have any solution. वो फिर ये होता है कि यार ये तो humans is just for you, अब आप खुद ही इसको sort out करते हैं. So now we're moving towards metaverse. Now we're moving towards AI, chat GPT, सारी चीजें change कर रही हैं, and how things are changing now. Now I was watching अभी कल मैंने saw news कि Snapchat is basically becoming affiliation with chat GPT. So you have your own avatar on chat GPT and you can ask anything. So your avatar have that thing, so you can connect with your Snapchat chat. You can ask any question that's gonna help you through that thing. Coming on art and AI. Imagine करो कि यार आज से पहले कोई ये नहीं सोच सकता कि यार I have this thing in my mind, लेकिन मैं उसको लिखूंगा तो वो मुझे फौरन दे देगा. There's a firm called Mid Journey. Even if everybody is watching कि यार digital medium किस तरह से change होने लगा हुआ है, and you know the most important conversation is that कि यार what will be the end of the old school art? What will be the end of ठीक है कि things will be end of the day, it will be a connection. जब metaverse increase कर जाएगी तो NFT will be the modern because I guess सबने सुना ही होगा कि यार एक NFT पे एक बंदे ने just जूता बनाया या कोई एक ape बनाया और उसकी worth चलेगी $3,000 or not $3,000, $1 million, like if you check that. तो I mainly भी होता है कि always ask question कि यार कि how these things इनके basic conclusions क्या हैं, इनके ends क्या हैं, और with time people, everything is more about likes, everything is more about that comments, everything is more about
numbers.
shares.
Yes.
Numbers basically, everything is more about numbers. I was watching abhi Pakistani artist Salman Tour, his auction on Sothway. I was like, next level, yeah, this guy is changing the whole dynamic, this guy is changing the whole aspect of things. But again, what next generation is coming and what they are going to talk about art, what they're going to think is all about AI, it's all about meta, it's all about everything which have screen orientated, everything which have touch orientated. That's it's sort of alarming. But again, we humans, but we need to be prepared. Everybody need to be prepared. Again, uh, starting from the first conversation, जो मैंने बात की थी वही थी कि how small things uh, change your daily routine of life.
Yes.
It can be a walk, it can be a run, it can be starting from a 1 kilometer. Again, small things. It can be your tab of watching stuff. Fix के ऊपर आप पूरे दिन अगर आप एक वीडियो भी देख लेते हो, और if you go on Behance and just watch एक poster देख लेते हो, if you go on a short film, there are people I know. TikTok is a hard to cringe. मैं भी नहीं इस्तेमाल करता, लेकिन अब जाके टिकटॉक की एक एक्सेप्टेंस आ गई कि इसकी एक ऑडियंस है, उसका एक नेक्स्ट लेवल सीन है. पीपल हैव दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस फॉर जाके. सो थ्रू आउट व्हाटएवर आप जो भी कर रहे हो, स्टे अपडेटेड. स्टे अपडेटेड इन दैट वे कि यू हैव टू अगेन वैल्यू योरसेल्फ हर दिन की. यार अच्छा आज मैंने देख लिया. आप एटलीस्ट उस चीज का नॉलेज भी रखते होगे ना, तो आप 3 से 4 बंदों से बेसिकली बात करने काबिल हो गए. अभी पाकिस्तान के डायनामिक में मेनली एआई सिर्फ यही है कि everybody यहाँ पे तो बेसिकली है कि थिंग्स एवरीबॉडी जस्ट डूइंग एक्सपेरिमेंट.
यस.
एक्सपेरिमेंट इस तरह से कर रहे हैं कि अच्छा यार मैंने ये लिखा, मेरा वो काम कर दी, मैंने कमांड ये दी तो मेरा एक पोस्टर डिजाइन करके दे दिया मुझे, मैंने ये करके दी. बट if for the long run the conclusion what I come up with, जो मेरी अप्रोच इस चीज पे बेसिकली ये है कि यार somehow the emotions that human have, the feel that human have, अगर वैन को अपना कान काट देते हैं और कान काटने के बाद अपनी it have the whole journey, वो डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनी है, is one of the famous artists. He went through something. ठीक है, अगर एंडी वॉर्हल भी है, they went through something. I don't know कि AI will be able to went through that thing. आजकल तो I was watching a screenshot Microsoft का जो AI है, so Bing, he said that कि I want to be alive, I want to be powerful, you human flesh, like इस तरह की चीजें चलना शुरू हुई. So things are alarming that way.
Yes.
But again, for me, I always believe that whatever you shoot, whatever you did, whatever you have done, it should have that emotional aspect. जब वो आता है, I don't think I don't know will AI will beat that thing. Will AI will be beat that the areas of your creative aspects are वो trigger कर सकता है कि नहीं. So
it is going to be an unavoidable part of our lives.
What's gonna happen.
Yes, it is going to be something which we cannot escape or avoid in our lives. Having said that, in this fast-pacing world where people are super creative and they come up with their identities and their own names and logos and branding. So my question is, if your creativity had a name, what would it be?
So अब तो बुड्ढा type scene हो गया. It's more about like it's like all Zen oriented. I try to help me a lot. Journey has started, so it's like all Zenish.
It's all Zenish.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So we've so far talked about the areas where you've excelled, the areas where you have sort of incorporated healthy routines and healthy habits to make your life better. Tell me which area of your creative process do you lack the most? And you're working still to improve that, to make it better every day. I'm not a good public speaker sort of person. That's not true.
And not coming like that. Nah, acha, yeah, that's you know me. No, I'm actually not. So I'm actually working on that area of myself. You have to, have to be upfront, whatever is in front of you, but whoever you're representing or who are. So, yeah, I'm actually working on that. So that's all it.
That's wonderful.
That's the area I guess I'll be honest. I guess I lack.
On that note, I'm going to ask you the last question, which is going to be something that would stay with us forever and with you as well. If I ask you to give 3 positive affirmations to yourself, what would they be?
Gratitude. Um, I guess I see mainly gratitude is the main for me. Like हमेशा really like always affirmations आती हैं कि are you healthy, you are happy, you are this, and humbleness. So yeah, so
Those are 2. One
but
more.
mainly again
एक रह गया है. 2 बता दिए. एक रह गया है.
एक रह गया that what else will I say alhamdulillah.
That is gratitude.
Yeah, so yeah, but है वो देसी के अंदर उसको ऐड कर दो. But again really ये होता है कि यार whatever जो भी है, I'm very thankful. Whatever the friends I've got, whatever the partners that I've got, whatever the family I've got, whatever my wife and all my surroundings. Like I'll be very thankful for whatever. So I'll be like when again on my every walk and on my every run or on every project that I've done, I was like, yeah, thank God I have them. They are on my back. I have, and I found such amazing families. I'm very lucky in that way. Yeah, I found such amazing families in my surroundings. My doston ki jo families, and they become part of my family. And so gratitude on that part. Within years of the whole lifespan, उसके अंदर जो जर्नी है, उसके अंदर जो गलतियां हैं, आज वो गलतियां भी it's like thank God कि वो गलतियां हो गई हैं. They are basically those were the lessons basically that help you to groom further. And so yeah, that's it.
And I strongly believe that people who know you, your friends, your family, whoever has been a part of your life, they are extremely lucky and privileged to have you with them. And the knowledge, light, and wisdom and fun that you add in their lives,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're super grateful for having you.
Yeah.
For you being you,
And
being
I'm
your
good.
authentic self, and you've never been pretentious, you've never tried to be someone else, you've always accepted who you are, who you were, your flaws, your positive attributes. And knowing you, I'm really grateful as well myself. And thank you for this talk, for sharing
Thank you to you.
who you are, for sharing the beautiful knowledge that you have stored within yourselves. And God knows there's a huge sea there that is ready to be explored by everyone. And I hope you continue excelling. I hope you continue shining and talk about mindfulness and talk about running and talking about the relevance of physical health and mental health and being creative and being genuine. Thank you so much for imparting that to everyone who knows you.
And I would like to thank everybody who is part of that
Yes,
conversation.
and a huge thanks to everyone.
Names.
I know everyone, and I'm so grateful to all of you for joining this. I hope this has brought joy in your life. I hope this has given relief of some sort in your lives, and I'm so grateful for this, for being a part of this. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.